To all who listen to this happy podcast, welcome. This is Magic Mice and Lucky Rabbits, and I'm your host, RJ. Hey everybody, I'm RJ, and welcome to the first episode of Magic Mice and Lucky Rabbits, my Disney podcast where I talk about Disney stuff. So this first episode is pretty much to introduce myself, as well as obviously celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company. So to kind of give you an idea of who I am and the Disney stuff that I enjoy, when I was a little kid, some of my favorite Disney animated... So to give you an idea about who I am as a Disney fan, when I was a kid, some of my favorite Disney projects and releases and things would include things like The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh TV show, DuckTales the movie, Darkwing Duck. Obviously, I grew up on all the 1990s and earlier Disney films, as well as the early 2000s. My childhood kind of seeped into the mid-2000s at the latest, I'd say, technically. So, I also enjoy a lot of films. I enjoy Robin Hood. I'm a big fan of country music, and I love the use of Roger Miller in that movie. It's also just a pretty fun movie, and I think a pretty underrated movie. Another one I think is underrated, The Sword and the Stone. I'm also a big fan of the video games, the Kingdom Hearts series, as well as the Epic Mickey series. My favorite attractions at the Disney parks, I will say also right out the gate, I've only been to Disney World twice in my life, in 2010 and in 2012. Other than that, my experience with the Disney parks has all been through YouTube and stuff like that. But the Pirates of the Caribbean is my favorite attraction that I rode while I was at Disney World, and I would love to ride the one out in California at Disneyland at some point. I also enjoy, I didn't actually ride it, but I enjoy kind of like the vibe and the story of the Haunted Mansion. I don't really do well with rides that go straight up and down. However, I will, for the sake of the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, Mission Breakout if I ever go to Disneyland. Another attraction I really enjoyed while I was there would have been another one I actually didn't ride but would love to. Another attraction that I admittedly didn't partake in personally when I was there either time, but would love to next time I go, whenever that is, if the attraction's still there, which is the Country Bear Jamboree, because again, country music. That one more just had to do with the people I was with weren't really so interested in going to see that one, so it's whatever. I don't like Expedition Everest. I rode that, and I had my eyes closed for pretty much the entire ride once it started going backwards. So there's that. I love pretty much all the Disney animated films from the 90s into the early 2000s, and all the ones before. I like most, if not all, of the Disney Animation Studios films. I will hold out on saying I like Chicken Little. I've watched that one once in my life and don't really remember it too well. And I also know that it's kind of universally known as one of the worst ones. I do have a soft spot for Home on the Range, though. I enjoy that one. The Three Caballeros was a childhood favorite of mine, and actually is one of the few that I still do not have a physical copy of myself. The Jungle Book is another favorite of mine. That was actually the first Disney film. Actually, I think it was the first film in general my parents bought after they got married back in the 90s. They bought it on VHS. But yeah, basically, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I think, is a very underrated film from the Disney Renaissance. Gorgeous soundtrack, one of my favorites, and a film that I really enjoy. But yeah, that's basically me. So that's, obviously, how could I forget? I'm a big fan, huge fan And you should definitely know this if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, because this channel was originally used by me to upload the public domain shorts from the 1920s. So like the Alice comedies, maybe some Oswald shorts, I don't know, and things like that. It's been like over 10 years since I did anything with the channel, so I don't remember exactly what I did. But I'm a huge fan of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. He's one of my favorite Disney characters. Obviously, I'm wearing this skyscraper shirt. I have 2 plushes of him. I have the Disney minifigure. I have his shorts on DVD and the signature edition Blu-rays of the films that had the shorts that they found after that was released, like on the Snow White Blu-ray, and I think Pinocchio was another one. There's a third one or something like that. But I just really love Oswald. I really love kind of his like underdog vibe that they got for him nowadays, kind of because, he's overshadowed by, Mickey Mouse, who became the huge star because Disney lost the rights to Oswald, which, like a lot of people, I learned about him through the game Epic Mickey on the Wii. I really enjoyed that game, even though somebody that I went to school with said it was basically a kind of a mid-clone of Super Mario Sunshine. But it's fun, and as a Disney fan, I really enjoy it. I like The Nightmare Before Christmas. If you couldn't tell, obviously I like Marvel and Star Wars. I really love The Muppets. Muppets Tonight is one of my favorite kind of lesser-known Muppet projects. I think the 1990s and early 2000s Muppets are really underappreciated. Granted, they're also kind of the foundation, especially Bill Beretta, I think is a big driving force of the current Muppet slate of things that we have. And he kind of got his start with the Muppets in the 80s or 90s. But Muppets Tonight, I wish they would put it on Disney Plus. It's only 2 seasons. It's pretty much the Muppet Show, but in the 90s. And it's different, and there's definitely people that don't like it as much, and I totally understand that. Again, not everything is for everyone, especially with something as big as Disney. But if you like the Muppets, I would definitely recommend giving that a shot. It's going to feel kind of similar in vibe, I guess, with Muppet stuff to things from that time. I think the ones that it kind of is closest to are probably Muppet Treasure Island and Muppets from Space. So, yeah. But I also really enjoy a lot of the things that they've been doing with them in the present. Muppets Now, not so much. That one was a little odd. However, I liked Muppet Mayhem, was really fun. Muppets Haunted Mansion was really good. And I really loved the return of Sal Manila and Johnny Fiamma, because, again, Muppets Tonight. Toy Story series, obviously, big fan of that. I have Woody and Jesse and Zurg and Buzz and Slinky and Potato Head all up there, like the actual, like, closest to the actual film that you could get of all of them. I think a very underrated film from Pixar that I really enjoy, being a fan of D&D, is Onward. I really liked that one. I also just really enjoyed kind of the message of that one. I think that one's a little underrated. I really enjoy, like I said, obviously the ride, but also I really love the movies, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I do like all of them, even the bad ones. I think the 4th one might be like my least favorite, but I enjoy them all in general. I go and watch the Disney animated films when they get released in theaters. My cousin and I, one of my cousins and I, have gone to see every single one of them in theaters since Tangled in 2010. We've managed to go see every single one of them in theaters, so that's very cool. He's generally like my go-to person to watch movies with currently. So, but yeah. And again, happy centennial, I think it's centennial, birthday to the Disney Animation Studios, the Walt Disney Company. They are a century old today, which is, I think, centennial, century. Those are similar words. I think centennial was right. 100 years old today. I actually, when I got home from work, sat down and watched the Once Upon a Studio, and I want to say, I said it on my Twitter, or X if you want to call it that, but nobody calls it that, right? Account, but I want to say it here as well. I want to give a huge thank you to all the people that worked on that short. I assume archivists worked on it, especially pulling out and getting the sound recordings for characters from the old movies and shorts. The animators, obviously, wow, all the dedication there. The film, like the people that filmed the live action part of it and stuff. It's I don't cry very often watching shows and movies and things. One of the last times that I cried that I can think of off the top of my head during a movie was I kind of got choked up and towards the end of Toy Story 3. And that's 2010. There have been movies and things I've kind of gotten choked up on, maybe cried since then. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 actually also really made me choke up. But I don't know the last time I full on cried during a movie or a short. At least the first time I watched one or whatever. I cried at the end of the short. Just the flood of feelings of watching all these. I don't want to spoil it too much, but I mean, if you look at it, you kind of get the basic idea. It's not anything. There's no huge twists or anything. It's just a big love letter to Disney Animation Studios' first 100 years, and I absolutely love how they did it and how it turned out. And it's 13 minutes. It's an animated short, and it's just beautiful and really tugs at your heartstrings if you're a big fan of Disney like I am. Especially the fact they included Oswald. I figured they would, but also at the same time, because it's Oswald, you also have that little bit of you that's I don't know, maybe they won't, but they probably will, especially because they've been including him in cameos and things in Get a Horse. He had this cameo there, and he has had cameos in Disney films and short since, and he's Graffiti and Zootopia and things like that. But it was really cool, and especially for the interaction with Mickey to him for his main little cameo on screen was really nice. But just especially seeing characters that are not nearly as popular and you don't get to see that often. Pretty much the shorts, they do include characters from important shorts from Disney's 100 years, like the skeletons from the Skeleton Dance and the trees from the birds in the trees, flowers and trees. I don't know why I forgot the name of that short and things. But there's characters from their feature animated films that part of me is expected to see pretty much anybody and everybody, or not everybody, but characters from every film, but they really did, characters from I think every single film in the official Walt Disney Animation Studios canon up until now, including the characters from the upcoming movie Wish, which I'm looking forward to, and I'm really hoping for a villain in this film, because it's been a minute since we had a real villain in a Disney animation film, and it the marketing and things from what I've seen give me that vibe. I don't know. I know there's newer trailers since the first one, but I personally pretty much never watch any trailers or teasers. After the first teaser and first main trailer, I cut myself off from intentionally watching anything. But I'm really hoping that there's a villain, and I think there's Chris Pine's character. So, but yeah, again, just thank you guys so much for that beautiful short. It's a wonderful love letter to the heritage and history of the company, and basically almost everybody's childhood. Again, I cried. I got emotional, and that doesn't happen to me a whole lot when watching things. So, yeah. But anyways, this isn't a super long episode. I do have plans for topics for future episodes. And if you're watching the video version of this, or even if you're not, just know there is a video version of this if you're not watching a video version over on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm going to do a actual video version of this every time, but maybe I will, especially if I don't really do a lot of editing. Editing is the thing I'm mostly worried about with this podcast. Sorry that I just squinted. I have kind of bad vision, and I was seeing where I was at time-wise on my recording. But anyways, yeah, if for the people watching also on the YouTube channel, thanks for watching. I know I'm kind of using this built-in subscriber thing that I already had from this channel, having been from uploading old Disney shorts that people subscribe to hopefully get more of. I'm not gonna upload, just saying flat out, I'm not uploading anything else that's not something I'm making, because, I'm trying not to just do that. I think it's important to have, I think it's important to preserve things such as that. So I think it's important that those exist where people can watch them, especially since they are public domain. I know I'm sure some of the music, I know there was one for sure. It's completely deleted from the channel because of it. But that, or muted at least, that some of the music might not be public domain because it's recordings from after that were added to it, because the films were originally silent films, which would have a person playing a piano or whatever, or harpsichord. I don't know if it would have been a harpsichord, probably not. Playing a piano, or a band would be playing whatever in the theater, because it's the era of silent movies live at the time. But they've since had sound added to them, like a soundtrack, and I bet some of those aren't public domain. So that's fine. I'm totally fine with things getting taken down for that reason, because I get it if it's not and whatever. But yeah, I think preserving things, which I'll kind of get more into when I cover the topic of Disney Plus and the streaming kind of thing, because the issue of that with having if I'm sure if a lot of you know what I'm getting at, so I'm not going to get into it anyway. Plus, I can get into it in a later episode. And speaking of, going back to that, sorry, I also get really tangential and kind of jump everywhere. My brain is like a bag of cats sometimes. You can smell the crazy. But anyways, I'm planning on doing episodes coming up for things such as I'm going to be doing episodes on like I said, Disney Plus. I'll be talking about what I just mentioned with the whole thing with streaming and having access to things, and having, preserving and archiving things and having access to that for people. And also things that aren't on Disney Plus, that why aren't they on Disney Plus is going to be part of what I'm going to be talking about. Probably an episode going through all of Disney Animation's feature films, a little overview of that, talking more in depth about rides and things. However, I won't be talking about that a whole lot, because there's a lot of channels that I really love on YouTube that already do a much better job than I ever could talking about theme park stuff, and it has already been covered to death by theme park enthusiasts and Disney enthusiasts and whatever. So I'm mostly going to leave that to them, but I am going to cover a little bit. But yeah, so just keep an eye out. If you'd like to subscribe, obviously feel free. Really appreciate it. It's available here on YouTube. It's available here on, I'm sure on most podcast providers, at least at some point. I already do have podcasts, so I'm probably going to just use the same host and throw it out to there. So yeah, if you could, follow, subscribe, whatever. And speaking of my other podcasts, I am going to kind of shift to talk about those for a second to kind of promote them. I have two podcasts primarily. One of them is on indefinite hiatus just because of the other podcast. That one is called Cedar Country. Both of these, by the way, are audio only. There's no video version. Actually, there is one for one episode of Cedar Country when we did an interview with a music artist. But basically, it's my buddy and I talking about our love of country music and different topics there. Again, there's only 18, 19 episodes of that. I think the newest episode which was just me. It was just going over a list of like the top hits of last year. It's a very long episode, so whatever. But that's on indefinite hiatus. But there's only like 19 episodes. The other one is not family friendly. Cedar Country, for the most part, is. This one is not. There's cussing and there's adult humor. So, just for warning. So, it is called Realms and Nerds. It's a Dungeons and Dragons podcast that I do with several of my friends. We play D&D. It's a great time. There's 2 concurrent campaigns that we're releasing called The Return of Ornon and The Vastanoka Adventures, but there's other campaigns in the tank. There's literally over 100 episodes in the tank, hence why the other one's on hiatus, and why this podcast is probably going to be sporadic and also not heavily edited, because I need to spend most of my time working on editing Realms and Nerds. But if you'd like to check those out, you can. I also stream over on Twitch. On occasion, I'm taking a break from that as well to focus on Realms and Nerds. That one is called Red Sun 55 Gaming. And you can check that out. I stream games like obviously like the Kingdom Hearts games, but I also stream non-Disney stuff like Overwatch or a lot of Nintendo, old Nintendo and other games, things like that. But thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to check me out on social medias, you can find me there. I know on Twitter, it's at Days with Disney, and on Instagram, it's just Days W Disney. I don't know if I'll change them to kind of fit for the podcast better, but that's currently where you can find me on social media, is over there. But yeah, thanks again for listening, watching, however you are ingesting this content. That's a weird way to put it. But anyways, thanks so much. Hope to see you later. Have a magical day.